Wedge 2.0 is officially broken, y'all. We just did a ARC test to simulate KVK. We ran it in actual mode. We set these things up to test perfectly the difference between Wedge and Wedge 2.0. We did it for archers and we did it for cavs. Nobody was going to do it for infantry, but now we can tell you, oh boy, maybe we need to do it for infantry because it's that broken. Check out how now Huo might be back in the meta and completely upend anything I've said about Wedge being that much better to bring some of these old skill damage calves and infantry back into the meta. Stick around while we talk about it all and we give you the results of what we found right here. Hey everybody, I'm your War Daddy Chadsky. I do videos for Rise of Kingdoms all the time. I play this game like crazy, play it all the time, and love doing these types of videos to really test things out, the nuances of the game. We just did a live stream, and you're seeing clips of this right now. And we had Daver in here, which of course is one of the resident Brainiacs. We had Max helping us out. We had Itachi helping us out. And what we found in these tests were absolutely incredible. Okay, Wedge 2.0 has just dropped in the game. We've already had players convert their current wedge set on Qin and their Archer March to the new wedge set. We're going to talk about that discrepancy. And then I went ahead and was your guinea pig, y'all. I went ahead and moved over part of my Delta, my second Delta March. I moved that over to Wedge 2.0. And then I had an original wedge that I still had some specials on. I moved those over to Wedge 2.0. And oh my God, what it does for Huo. We got to talk about this, guys. So if you would be so kind, throw a like on here if you enjoy these videos. If you get any kind of satisfaction or any kind of benefit from these videos, help us out by giving it a like. And also, if you haven't subscribed, consider doing so. We pushed over 75,000 subscribers, growing the channel, growing the community. And speaking of that community, if you want to join my Discord, the link is down in the description. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. The link is down in the description. And if you would be so kind, join my Discord. That's where a lot of these questions come up. The minute that they released all the special inscriptions for Wedge 2.0, they did this in a way that was really, really good, and my Discord started blowing up, right? And so from there, let's go through this thing, okay? Let me kind of set you up and show you exactly how we did this, all right? First and foremost, we needed a baseline. We need something to hit. Well, Sun Tzu's been wrecking everything, and it was dueling better than any dueling march, including Huo, including Qin, including everybody. So Maximus ran probably one of the best Sun Tzu setups in the game, all right? He's got full meta stuff when it comes to the gear. He's got full meta stuff when it comes to the pincer. Plus, he is one of the only players I've ever seen to have a demolisher with uplifting, which is an insanely powerful common inscription for pincer. So we ran that. All right. That was our baseline. We ran him with BQ. Okay. And so this is what we found. The first thing that we did was we ran on my Qin Zuge. I have this setup right here. Now, we had to mimic this, okay? So I had this setup right here, which is full tier 5 everything, except for the ring. And partly because Itachi didn't have a ring at tier 5 for archers. He has other stuff tier 5 for archers, so we just went with a regular ring. This is going to give us a good baseline and a good test. So Itachi had to mimic the same thing. And you can see it down here with Itachi. He mimicked the same thing. The only difference with Itachi is that he's using Wedge 2.0. He converted everything to Wedge 2.0. So now we have a good idea of the baseline. So here's what we found. The Sun Tzu BQ, and like we've seen it before when Sun Tzu came out, it's crushing the duels. And it wins by 26,000 sevs. You see the differential there. It wins again. We ran it 3 times. It wins again by 22,000 sevs. And then it wins again by 19,000 sevs. So on average, between those three, about 22,000 sev difference favoring the Sun Tzu and the BQ. Then we used Wedge 2.0. Same setup. Itachi's got all the same setup. We use Wedge 2.0. I'm going to go ahead and pin this to the top here from Max. And Max sent this to me, and now look what happens. From a 22,000 difference in favor of Sun Tzu to a 12,000 difference favor to Qin Zuge with Wedge 2.0. That's a 34,000 discrepancy. 34,000 sev wounds flipped the other way with Wedge 2.0. And then we did it again, and it was much less. It was 6,000 difference here rather than 12,000. But overall, that's still what? 28,000 difference in sevs. So the Qin Zuge won every time, and it crushed. Okay, 9,000 difference here. Like, just insane what Wedge 2.0 does for it, all right? Wedge 2.0 for Qin is so broken, guys. It makes Qin just insane. It makes him so insane. So from there, we said, okay, we're going to test the calves. Like, is this going to bring Huo back into the meta with Wedge 2.0? Okay, and so from there, we started this with, let me see here. We flipped the same thing we did for archers, but we did it the other way. Okay, Itachi ran the full tier 5 stuff. I've got the same stuff, right? And then he had the old Wedge. Then I, being your resident guinea pig over here, I do it for the it's a labor of love. I went ahead and flipped my cavalry over to Wedge 2.0. So what's the discrepancy there? Okay, well, first we look at what happened with Wedge 1.0, or basically the original Wedge, and it's getting cooked by 22,000 difference, right? Same type of deal. The Huo Nevsky, which is a great dueling march, is getting cooked by 22,000 by the Sun Tzu of Maximus. You run it again, it's 25,500 difference. Okay, just getting absolutely cooked by the Sun Tzu BQ. And then you run it again, it's about an 18,000 difference. So on average, same thing, about a 22,000 difference when it comes to Sun Tzu and BQ against Huo with Nevsky and the original Wedge. Then I put the Wedge on, okay? And what we found here was this. 11,000 difference, winning the duel by 11,000. That is a 33,000 sev differentiation than Wedge 1.0. 33,000. Now, the second duel we did, they had some RNG in there. Sun Tzu actually won, but not by much. And then the third duel we did, Huo Nevsky won again by 4,000. So whether or not you've got some RNG in here, the fact that now Huo and Nevsky with Wedge 2.0 can go just straight up beat Sun Tzu, the new hotness, the new commander, the crazy powerful commander for infantry with all the infantry stuff. The fact that it can go from this 22,000 difference getting pummeled with Wedge 1, then to go to this with Wedge 2.0, like, oh God, here we go. And I'll get to the conclusions later, okay? Then I tried it with Huo and Arthur just murdered it, just crushed it. Like Huo, Arthur, oh my gosh, is this what we're gonna do? I can't believe it. So there's so much discrepancy and it's so overpowered that now we gotta think about, we've got to think about the infantry, okay? We'll test this out later, but running Ragnar with Scipio, first of all, the Scipio Ragnars running Scipio primary already got a massive buff just a few weeks ago when they changed emergency protection to include combo and smite damage mitigation. They did the same thing over here for loose formation, just a massive, massive mitigation for smite and combo, bringing Scipio back into the fold. I made the recommendation for people, if you're running Luce with Alex, okay, you need to stop running Luce with Alex and you need to start running Scipio with Luce and just use your pincer. Use whatever you're using on Luce and Alex, and it just does better simply for the support tree. So there's already a buff there for Scipio. Now you go put Wedge 2.0 on Scipio and you run them with Ragnar? Oh my gosh, is this what we're going to tell players to do? It gives us more variety, and there's a lot of people who have not switched over to two pincers or still running a Ragnar Scipio or a Scipio Ragnar. So let's talk about this, okay? Because the next thing we've got to talk about is the recommendations, okay? If you are in a situation to where you are running Huo in the field still, and you're running him with the original Wedge set, you're running him with Arthur, or you're running him with Joan, if you run him that way, then you have to convert this to Wedge 2.0. And a lot of you just stayed. You said, hey, I'll run one delta and one skill damage. I don't have the stones to switch two deltas, which has kind of been the jam. That's been the meta. And so now you're in a situation to where if you were waiting, now you can run Wedge 2.0. Okay, now we're going to get delta inscriptions and a new delta formation within probably 4 to 6 months. But you never know with Lilith on how that's going to work and how much more powerful that's going to be. But we're a little disjointed right now when it comes to Cavalry running Delta. And the reason why, if you run 2 Delta, a lot of people are running Gang with Achilles or Achilles Gang, however you run it. And then they're running Arthur, either still with Philip or they're running it with Hector. I've been running Arthur Hector. It does fantastic. And so I run 2 Delta sets, and that's how I generally run it. Of course, we know Hector is a great combo commander when you put him behind a cavalry commander. And so it's still kind of disjointed because Hector's not a true cavalry commander, right? So with that, people are kind of still makeshifting a Philip, even maybe running William with Arthur while they run Gang and Achilles. Or you just run 1 Delta and you run Arthur with Achilles, and you're running Huo with Joan, okay? But from that standpoint, if you decide to go to Wedge 2.0, it's an easy Huo Arthur with Gang and Achilles. That's the meta. That's what I'm here to proclaim and tell you. Now, it doesn't mean everybody's got to go do the meta. If you're running 2 Delta, that's fine. If you're still running Huo with the original Wedge set, that's okay too. But the meta, the best of the best to run 2 calves is going to be running Wedge 2.0 with Huo, running Arthur behind him, and then running Gang with Achilles. That's going to be the new meta. And so it sucks that the Wedge 2.0 is so strong that it's making Cav skill damage come back. But at the same time, it just kind of is what it is, guys. I'm sorry about that. And so from there, if you're in a situation just like Cavs to where you're looking at your infantry and you're still running skill damage infantry, okay, and you're running Scipio with Ragnar, where's he at? Scipio with Ragnar, and you're running it with the original Wedge set, okay, Wedge 2.0 is going to do insanely better. It's going to do so much better, okay? Now, if you were saying, well, Chatsky, is it going to be better than Pincer? Running 2 Pincer sets, like if I'm running Sun Tzu with Wallace, and then so I can run Sun Tzu with Wallace and then BQ and Luce, and I can run it with 2 Pincer. I don't necessarily know if that's going to be better than 2 Pincer to run 1 Pincer of Sun Tzu and BQ and then 1 skill damage of Scipio and Ragnar. I don't know. But definitely if you're running 3 infantry, it 100% is. Like you want to run 1 skill damage infantry if you're running 3 infantry. And so from that standpoint, the fact that we're even like contemplating it and the fact that we're even debating it is insane. That's what's so insane about Wedge 2.0. Okay. And a quick overview on Wedge 2.0. When you look at this, it's just, hold on. I've got it on my Huo. It's insane for Qin. What we found is that the flag with this particular buff that it does and a debuff that it does, this actually gives a ton of uptime when you have the flag. You've got the scroll here. I'm sorry, the scroll originally, what I'm saying. This fires off when the flag does a little bit of extra basic attack converted into direct damage, into skill damage. Okay, so there's synergies there. You get massive uptime on the scroll slot when it comes to the 10% buff of skill damage or the 2.5% debuff of damage to the target. So synergies there with these two, okay? Then the instrument for Qin, I don't know if it's better than Unstoppable. It's pretty close, but being able to add the all damage buff and debuff along with 7% boost, that's just really, really good, okay? And then over here, obviously having 12.5% boost to skill damage dealt, oh my gosh, just out of control good. And so you can say definitively now through the reports that we got, Huo and Arthur are back in the meta for Cavs running 2 marches. I can't believe I'm saying that. I literally can't believe I'm saying that. And Scipio Ragnar might not be back in the meta for 2 March Infantry, but it's really freaking close if it's not, and it might be. We got to test that more often. We just didn't have anybody that was going to be willing to convert Infantry Wedge over to Wedge 2.0, but we can do some custom arcs and we can do some balanced arcs to where we can apply that ourselves. But it's a hard consideration. Like, you really got to think hard about that, because now with Scipio and the support tree and then Ragnar, you can look at that as well. So overall, this really is difficult. And the hard part about this is the conversion stones that we talked about. They're only giving us 3 conversion stones with this event. This is killing mid-spenders and free-to-plays. They're not going to have enough conversion stones to switch this over. It is the discrepancy with high spenders and mid and low spenders is so high now. I mean, guys, we've got to do something here. We need more conversion stones to help players out. If the game is going to give us broken stuff that gives so much of a differentiation when it comes to running it in the field, and the power creep is so high with new stuff like this Wedge 2.0, then they got to help players out. Like, yeah, I'm pleading with Lilith. Like, you got to help players out. You can't just give them 3 conversion stones and say, hey, there you go, your 2 special inscriptions on your Wedge for Cavalry. You need to switch over to Wedge 2.0, or your 2 special inscriptions on your Qin. You need to switch over to Wedge 2.0, and it costs 20 transmutate or 20 conversion stones, and you only give us 3. You're basically telling players they either got to go buy this bundle over here. Where is it? They got to go run this bundle up, and I've already done it. I'm a high spender. And it's not fair, man. I've already bought this thing. And so you either run this thing all the way up and spend a ton of money, or you go into your shop and you spend 10,000 gems per conversion stone. What? That's 170,000 gems with what Lilith gives us on the event. It's 170,000 gems. Where did this thing go? With the 3 conversion stones you get here, you need 17 more conversion stones. That's 170,000 gems. That is so hard. Like, they got to figure this out, guys. So that's what the video is all about. Okay, the conclusions from that. Qin, it just, honestly, guys, like I had forecasted, it makes Qin just completely God tier. He is Thanos Infinity Gauntlet tier. Like, he's going to be just crushing things. He's going to stay ahead of the game with Wedge 2.0. We can't get Delta 2.0 fast enough, guys. We need Delta 2.0 so fast. Like, we need it fast now, because we got to go back to running 2 Delta with Cavalry. And a lot of you who are doing that right now, it might not be worth switching over if you're already running 2 Delta. Okay, but if you're at the cutting edge of the game, if you're at the vanguard, the tip of the spear, running the best of the best, Huo Arthur is going to be part of the 2 March meta for Cavalry. I hate saying that, but that's just the way it's going to be. So if you guys enjoyed this video, throw a like on here. I want to get down in the comments. I love interacting with you guys down there in the comments. I love the feedback. Get into my Discord. The link is down in the description. And with that being said, wherever you may be, have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and we will see you later, broskies.